Alright, so welcome. Today we're doing 5 mistakes on Christmas. And, you're thinking, hey, I was, at home with family, having a jolly good time, opening presents, about to go see off a movie. Why would I want to learn about mistakes? That's just a downer. Well, I'll promise you this will be short, because we're going to go over this 7Q, 8Q game where there's 5 huge mistakes to learn from within about a span of, I think it's about 22 moves. So we're gonna tear through this. So just do yourself a favor, learn a little bit of Go on Christmas. Keep up your practice. Don't get too distracted by all the other festivities. Do what's important in life. It's not family. It's not friends. It's not presents. It's Go. Okay. So that's the attitude I want to see from all of you. So anyway, as promised, we'll try to keep this short. Anyway, I've got a game here. As I said, white 7Q, black's 8Q, and the question here is, what should white do? And black's opening looks very uninspired. And white's opening is interesting. This stone is a little bit in a weird spot, but this is still very useful stone. It actually still helps against any black reduction over here. You can use this stone to help fight in any sort of running fight that gets out. But it's white's move, and white might be feeling a little bit, already behind, just because black is already trying to make a huge moyo, or at least some sort of framework. And again, black has 4 stones on the board, white has 3. So what to do? And I'll show you what white does first, because it's pretty bad. White basically makes a settling shape with this stone. He's like, I'm just going to dig in right here and make these points mine. And this is a terrible idea. Number one, it's paying no attention to what black is trying to do. It's just completely not on white's radar. Second, this area is very small, and this white stone, even though it's kind of close to the black framework, is really flexible, so there's no need to settle it. So I'm going to say mistake number 1 in this game, you don't have to settle these groups. Look at how much space there is, right? You only play moves like this, these types of settling moves, where you dig into your opponent's shapes, where you feel weak. And we're not at that stage of the game yet. We're at move 8. There's no weak groups at move 8. White can play, if you really want to settle this, we could make a better shape. Maybe this move would be better. And if it continues like this would be okay. Certainly not ideal for white. We're really not making good use of this stone. Or at least the flexibility of the stone, we're just digging in. But this would be a better sequence. Instead, between all those things, what we should do is have a plan for something bigger. And we look at this bottom corner and we go, oh, black took a 4/4 and double wing. Boom, that's the move. Okay, that's, I think, 95% of Go players would agree, and certainly the robots all agree that this is the best move on the board. Just destroy this framework immediately. Just jump in there, have a plan. These stones are flexible. You don't need to dig in. And so digging in here is totally just not what's important. Never mind the fact that it makes really good shape for black. If you are too scared to jump in, or you're playing a bluffing version to Go, and you don't want to give your opponent that momentum, you can just continue building your own framework, and this is actually a pretty nice formation for white. A move like this, or if you're a little more conservative, you can play this, or if you're even more conservative, you can play this. All these are much better moves than what white played here. So again, if you have a stone that's open and flexible, don't settle it to give your opponent a lot of points, because guess what your opponent's going to do? Your opponent's just going to play here, and now this corner is no longer open. Previous to this, right, we'd actually just come in here. This would even be a better move. And this stone is actually in a nice place to reduce, black at the end of this too. So we're giving up a lot when we have to settle our groups in this way. If you're inside your opponent's sphere of influence, we're not even inside our opponent's sphere of influence. We don't have to play this settling type of move. Okay, let's game on. That was the first mistake. Second, black is going to just take the corner points. That's great. And white is going to play this move here, which is it's a good relationship to this stone, but it's really bad shape locally. This is a group touching a group type of situation. And there's a proverb, Hane at the head of 2 stones is very large. And you can see there's Hanes available for both players. Black has Hanes here, and white has Hanes here and here. And so by giving our opponent sort of the first move in this Hane situation, we're giving ourselves a disadvantage. So the question is for black, what should black do to take advantage of this? Well, it's not this. This move is a mistake. And instead of just honeying white and forcing white to be the weak one, instead we're letting ourselves become doubly weak. Because not only does white now have the first move in these two-stone group situations, we now have another group to worry about that's trying to split in between this white group. So we're not paying attention to shape, we're not paying attention to our weaknesses, and when we just leap into the frameworks like this unprepared, it's not going to turn out well. If, on the other hand, let's say black played a slower move and played even just something like this, we're not even honeying, we're not even playing the best moves, we're just playing a slow move. Now moves like this become much more palatable, right? Because we have no weaknesses, and we can just do whatever we want. When you have no weaknesses, go do whatever you want. You have a plan, you're going to have a good time. I think the best move here in this case is just to play here. The nice thing about this is you can already feel how weak these two stones are getting. If white plays this type of move, we can even just cut immediately. Like this cut just works. It's not the best move, but it works. This is also a very nice move. And you can see that not only are we continually pressuring white into a small, confined, weak shape, we're actually building this bottom even larger. Look at this giant framework. So this is a little bit frustrating for me to see when you have good moves here to take advantage of the shape, and we're just now giving opportunities to our opponent. Okay, so in the game, white covers here, which is okay, but this would have been better. White can actually pressure these two black stones a lot more first and then decide how to tackle this one black stone. This is just, black has no time to do stuff here. Even if white just plays very slow moves, maybe even just here, this corner is, shall we say, screwed. Black can kind of make it live, but it's difficult. And even if black does make it live, white will have all the momentum on the outside. So this is a huge move. White should absolutely take it. White played a little bit too conservatively. So now what should black do? I'll give you guys a second to think about it. And if any of you come up with the answer of, we need to save the stone, you're wrong. This is your number 3 mistake in this game. Just because we play the stone doesn't mean it's important. And even though we have this exchange, black should actually still play either this move or possibly this move. Either one is fine. I think this one is slightly better. This one also exposes the shape here, right? If, let's say white plays a move like this, well, black, you're happy to play here. This is 5th line territory. You're just excited. But later on, right, let's say white does this. Black has this move and can immediately start a fight. Actually, black probably needs another liberty first. I kind of lied. Black plays another move here or here, something like this. But here can threaten this cut. White has to descend, and now we can continue our fight outward. Or we can just hane. And this is actually a pretty nice exchange where white either just lets these two stones die, or we just get to link up for free because of the snapback. So this exchange is actually very usable for black, and we should have no reason to be attached to it. There's no reason to save it. We can still just get what we want, right? Build a huge territory at the bottom and help the left corner moyo. Just play the nice shape move, no problem. If white does play here, this is a little bit of a problem, but it's not unmanageable. This peep is actually pretty potent, and we have moves like this that allow us to link up to this stone. So if this does become a huge fight, everybody, let's say it's a fair fight. There will be variations that black can manage it. Okay, whoops. So anyway, mistake 3, don't get attached to your stones. There's no reason to run the stone out yet. We still have this weakness right here at this head of 2 stones. And this happens a lot in Q games where, you play a move that's a little bit overplay and you get attached to it instead of just leaving it for Aji later. Very common. Anyway, these 2 players play this out. And black keeps pushing from behind here. I'm not going to call that a mistake because in this case it's useful to live. Because even at this point, if white plays again, black lives in Sente. So check that out. Right? Black actually made a living group. We can't kill this in Sente. Which means black has another move. So what should black do? How should black treat this move? Well, if you've guessed, play this or this, you'd be right. What does our friend black do? Black plays here. So what's the mistake here? Black is asking to link up to this live group, right? And if you're going to do this, you can maybe consider making this exchange before you have to run this group out. Say, hey, by the way, I don't really want to give you this huge wall. Do I have to give you this wall? And if white says, no, I don't want you to link up, then okay, maybe then you can save the group. But in this case, you're asking for something that's very unimportant. You've already made this group live. And so when you play this move, it doesn't matter if these stones really link up or not right now. White has this huge wall. There's this huge onus placed on the center of this board right now, right? This connection is not important if these are alive, right? If the black, you guys can see that if these stones are dead, this connection, yeah, is worth a lot of points, but it's not. Unfortunately, white doesn't know this, and white says, no, you can't connect. And it's like, that's too small thinking. You have this huge wall, you have to start using it. Even if you just play a move like this would be so much better, right? Black, can link up like this. This is not that many points we're talking about. This is like 6 to 8 points. It does help the safety of this for if white comes down here, but this is just a bigger move. So again, we asked for something important. That's mistake 4. All right, white plays here. Here's our 5th mistake. It's black's move. What should we do? Well, in this case, we still have this defect here, so this is still a nice move. And if white takes time to protect the defect, again, we get really nice shape and a really large territory at the bottom. Very nice. And we will still have to deal with this central moy that's building for white, but at least now we have this other stone that's sort of poking into it, and we're completely solid and settled in the bottom. It's great. What does our friend black do here, the 8Q? Well, he didn't, or she didn't take the time to read Life and Death, and thinks that all these moves that he or she played earlier didn't actually make the group alive, even after this move, or especially after this move, and so needs to come back and play this other gote move. And this move is really atrocious. Like this is a really nice opportunity for black to settle, make points, and keep this game in balance. Try to balance out the influence of this wall with some territory of his or her own. And if you're worried, oh hey, but white can play here and take the key point, right? Center one space jump away from the center of 3 stones. It's a monkey jump. We know it's connected. It's got all that good stuff. Well, here's what you do. You just play here, and again, this is not a hard sequence to read. And white has to respond, right? Probably best response white is here. But then we have this move. And if you can count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you know a line of 4 is a living space, we just did a 4-move life and death problem. Like that was exactly 4 moves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. We just had to read 4 moves, that was it. And so it's not too hard of a life and death problem, but our 8Q didn't take the time to actually read that. And so, that's kind of what Go comes down to so often, right? If you don't actually have the ability to read or know when to read, you're not going to win a lot of games, because this was just a great advantage for black to fix all of his or her problems, take some territory at the bottom, and start worrying about the top. But now, as this game progresses, white takes a big move there, which is big. White, because actually white played this move, this is actually probably still better, because white can actually still fight here. But this move is pretty good. This is also a good idea for a plan for white. So again, these 5 mistakes, again, we see them all the time. These are just mistakes that everybody makes. There's your opening. Pretty uninspired opening, like I said earlier. First mistake, right? There's no reason to settle this. Don't think you have to, so don't make these types of exchanges. A lot of players see AlphaGo and these other robots playing these shoulder hits and armpit hits, but that's only, especially these, we'll call this the armpit hit, right? They're playing armpit hits to settle groups. That's the reason. Don't play an armpit hit. It's a bad exchange otherwise. If you don't have a direction, if you don't have a reason to, this is a bad exchange. And maybe that's what was going through this player's head, is that they just watched this robot game and saw these cool armpit hits and was like, yeah, I'm going to use them. Yeah, but you need to know when, and you use them when you're settling, not right now. Mistake number 2, don't make multiple weaknesses. Again, create weaknesses for your opponent, and then once you have weaknesses and for your opponent and you are strong, then you can make these other groups, right? Make another weak group. Mistake number 3, even if you make a mistake, you have time to back out. One stone, and exchanging one stone for one stone usually isn't that big of a deal. And so you don't have to be attached to anything you do. You make an invasion and you go, oh, that was really deep, or oh, that's not going to play out how I think it is. Don't get attached to it. There's no good reason to. Like, that's one, exchanging one stone for one stone is, we'll say 80% of the time, just fine. And I'll say 10% of that, it's really bad. Like sometimes exchanging one for one is really bad. But other 10% of the time, it can also just be a good exchange. It can be beneficial. Maybe it's more like 18% bad and 2% really good, but you get the idea. It's 80% of the time exchanging one for one. Okay, it's still a game. You didn't lose the game because of that exchange. Which brings us all the way to, because black got attached to this group, mistake number 4, don't ask for something you don't need. You don't need a connection here. Don't ask for it. Your opponent should just tanuki. It's too small. If you ask for something that you don't need, you're playing 2 moves for something you don't need. That's 2 moves that are wasted. So this should be a huge swing in the game for white. And then finally, the last mistake, again, you have to read Life and Death. So there you are, the 5 mistakes for your Christmas holiday. I hope that this video was, you're able to squeeze it into your family / pie eating / present opening and candy cane licking schedules. And my next video will be in the new year, so happy 2019, everybody. Thanks for watching.